Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is capital punishment in Tennessee, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about capital punishment in Tennessee, Dr. LWoods2. Dr. Woods has a lot of information in reference to capital punishment in Tennessee, and I think, Dr. Woods, you've been with us on a number of occasions, and I want to tell you how much we appreciate you coming by and dealing with us today.
I'm pleased to be here, Dr. Haney. It's a very timely topic, unfortunately always is, with the crime in our society and what we should be doing about it, and I'm honored to be here.
Very good, and I appreciate you too, Dr. Woods. But before we get started with capital punishment in Tennessee, Dr. Woods, let's have you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the things that were important in terms of bringing you to us this morning, and then we'll get into doing the second segment into capital punishment in Tennessee 2014.
Well, I can do that pretty quickly. I'm a Nashville guy, as you know, born in West Virginia, but moved here with my family when I was 3 or 2 years old, and been here ever since, except for school. I spent 4 years in Atlanta going to college, and 3 years in Chicago at law school, and have practiced law here essentially ever since, as well as taught constitutional law at Tennessee State University, as you well know. I think the formative influences for me, my brother Frank, who was at Vanderbilt Law School a couple years ahead of me, called me one day saying there was a notice up from a guy named Senator Avon Williams, that many of your viewers will know by reputation, needing research assistance on the death penalty in Tennessee. And my brother knew I had taken a course about it in law school, so he volunteered to help Senator Williams, called me for some research or ideas or focus, and that got me really interested, I think, in the death penalty and capital punishment. The course had been very academic, of course, and lawyer-oriented, but reading the stories of both the victims and the defendants in death penalty cases in Tennessee really brought it home to me. Then through the influence of people like Reginald Stewart and Robert I. Alexander and Dr. Charles Kimbrough, I got very involved in representing the NAACP on a regional basis in Tennessee, and they were involved in many of the death penalty cases in the 1960s and later in the 1970s. So my legal background, courses in this area, my brother getting me even more interested in the subject, and then working with the NAACP as well as several of the national anti-death penalty organizations really shaped my interest and focused my attention on the problems with punishment in the criminal justice system, and the worst problems are with the worst penalty, the death penalty.
You know, Dr. Woods, what I'd like to do here this morning is to take advantage of your historical knowledge in terms of the death penalty itself and sort of give us a summary. And I think we've got about 2 minutes in this segment, and we'll continue during the second segment. Sort of give us a summary of the death penalty as such in the state of Tennessee, which is to say, looking back over it when it started and the impact that it had, and the kind of information that I'm sure that you generally teach in reference to this.
Well, I do. I teach some televised courses, and I've been interviewed on TV, not only by you several times in the past, but by others on criminal justice and the death penalty. So I've been exposed to it from a number of different points of view. The defendant, the victim or victims, how the system structurally works, and I lecture to my students about the history of capital punishment. Our ideas about capital punishment are really a holdover from Elizabethan England. And sort of like the horror stories you read about medieval torture, that was the idea in the 1500s, 1600s in England. If I accused you of a death penalty offense, you trespassed on my land. You failed to pay your debts on time. You shoplifted, much less more serious offenses like murder. All of those were death penalty offenses at common law in England. And the idea is the Royal Guard or the police would torture you until you confessed. And if you didn't confess, they'd keep torturing you until you died. And then they would claim, well, look, we were right all along. He's dead, and that proves he was guilty.
Executed him.
Well, we've evolved some from that, but we've done it in the wrong ways and in very inefficient, ineffective, and sometimes simply factually incorrect ways, unfortunately. In Tennessee, as with most, well, the bare majority of the states in this country now authorize the death penalty, and Tennessee has long been one of the states with the death penalty. In 1972, the Supreme Court blocked any death penalty, but then it resumed 4 years later.
Okay, Dr. Woods, let's stop right here for this first commercial break, and then we'll get back during the second segment, and then we'll start in terms of the historical information that you're giving us, because we want it all together, and then we'll be able to move on from that point. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.